we're going to be really kind of focusing on the lower leg. So we're focusing on our feet, our ankles and our knees really today. So we're going to start with the ball. So we're going to roll our feet out with the ball. So placing your ball down, and to begin with, just roll your foot. Try and just make sure that you cover all of the bottom of your foot. So don't forget, like inside edge, outside edge, get it right to the base of your toes, to your heel, just everywhere. And here we're just trying to wake everything up. So we're just trying to get the circulation going. And you can go as fast or as slow as you want. And as always, if you're a bit wobbly, you can always go near a wall, something to hold on to if you need to. So once we've kind of just rolled it out and got a little bit of blood flowing, we're going to have the heel down on the floor and the ball at the base of your toe. And you're just going to do that stepping on and off just a couple of times, like you're pressing down on a pedal. And then move the ball slightly so it's kind of gone maybe the next toe down. And again, just pressing on and off a couple of times, moving it along again, just so that we've kind of had a bit of pressure at the base of each toe. Yeah. And then once you've kind of gone all the way through all of the toes, we're going to roll the other way so that your toes are down on the floor and your heel is on the ball. And then we're going to kind of just do that side to side, rolling across your heel. And you can keep moving it slightly just to make sure that you've kind of covered everywhere. You can do that pressing on with the heel as well, like you're trying to squish your ball. So waking up the feet, waking up the muscles of the feet, getting the blood flowing to the area. We don't tend to have very good circulation in our lower leg and our feet, so any movement that you do encourages the muscles to contract and relax, and that draws the blood in. It means that your heart doesn't have to work quite as hard to push the blood all the way down because the muscles are drawing it in. Okay, let's do the other foot. So when you're ready, just switching sides. And again, we're just going to roll it out first, making sure that we cover everywhere. Watch for those areas that feel a little bit bruised, a little bit tender, the ones that don't like you rolling them, and give them a little bit more attention. Those are the places that need it. Getting right to the base of your toes, going to your heel. Inside edge, outside edge, everywhere. And then again, rolling back so that your heel is down on the floor, the ball is at the base of your toes, and again we're going to do that pressing, stepping on and off, applying pressure right at the base. See if when you press your foot into the ball, can you see the knuckle, you know, this bit on your foot? Quite often they sink down, so that when you apply pressure from the other side, you sometimes can't even see those knuckles. So notice that in your foot. Can you see all of them? Sometimes it's like the second or third toe, the knuckles like almost like it's not there, can't see it. Okay, once you've done all the toes, let's go the other way so that toes are down on the floor, heel is on the ball, and let's do that little side to side. Let's do a little bit of press and release of the heel, just making sure everybody, all of the muscles in your foot has had a little bit of attention. Okay. Now that my feet are awake, let's start to move our toes a little bit. So just moving your ball so you're not going to trip over it. Let's lift and spread all of our toes and then place them down. Do that a couple of times. Lift and spread all of your toes. Sometimes it helps if you do fingers as well. And place them down. One more time. Lift and spread your toes. Place them down. Can you lift just your big toe? Keeping the other toes down. Can you lift the next toe? And the next toe, and just moving along until all the toes are up. Once all the toes are up, can you start with a little toe going down first? And then go back the other way. And then go again. Big toe, and then each toe in turn. And then little toe, and working back the other way. Do that one more time. And then go back the other way. And then there's the movement that I haven't quite figured out yet. You guys might be much better at it than me. So lift just your big toe, keeping all of your other toes down. And then can you place the big toe down and lift the other toes whilst keeping your big toe down? My brain and my feet are not communicating with that movement at all. But maybe yours are. Go again. Can you lift just the big toe, keeping the other toes down? And then switch it, lifting all of the other toes and keeping the big toe down. I have nothing. Do one more like that. Big toes. My big toes will go. The others not so much. Oh, I've got something new to play with. Okay, and then just rest there. So we're going to bring our feet together now. And we're going to do a little mini squat. I'm going to kind of turn sideways so that you can see. And then place your hands just above your knees. And we're using this to mobilise our ankles. We're going to do like little knee circles here. Keeping your heels down, can you circle around? So we're kind of moving the ankle, moving the knee. And then can you go back the other way, bending those knees and circling around. So it's just a little mobility, just a little bit of movement there. Keeping the heels down, that's tricky enough as you bring your knees forwards. Good job. All right, and then pause in there. Let's go into the top of the foot stretch next. So taking one leg back, tucking those toes under, you're trying to get your toenails down on the floor, and then you're trying to stand up tall. Notice if it's making you want to lean forwards or making you want to bend that back leg. We're trying to get it straight. If it needs to bend, that's okay, but eventually we want to have that leg straight. And we're just going to breathe here. Take a few breaths. Try and let your leg be as relaxed as possible. If it's really cramping up and you need to come out of it and stretch your toes the other way, absolutely do. Otherwise, we're just going to scan through our body and see if there's anywhere that we're gripping, that maybe we can find a little bit more softness and just release. And then let's switch and just do the same on the other side. So taking the other leg back. Again, tucking those toes under and standing tall. Does it make you want to arch your back here? Can you try and keep your ribs stacked over your pelvis? Okay, go back to your first side. Kind of find that top of the foot stretch position. And then you can't really see, because if you try and look, you'll fall over. But in your mind's eye, what position is your foot in? Are you kind of balanced really in the centre of your foot, or is it kind of rolled out towards your little toe side? Is it rolled in towards your big toe? Can you find that real centre balance point? And then once you've found it, we're going to roll across the foot from one side to the other. And just noticing when you do your top of the foot stretch, whether you always tend to go to maybe like a rolled out position or a rolled in position. Let's do the other side. So we're going to find that centre point first. So taking that leg back, finding that top of the foot stretch position, and then noticing, is your foot rolled out? Is it rolled in? Is it centred? Centre it if it's not, and then we're going to roll across the top of those toes. It's not so nice on a wooden floor. And then just releasing that leg. Grab your half dome or your rolled up towel next. And we're going to go into the calf stretch. Top of the foot to the top of the dome or the towel, heel down. And then stepping your other leg to hip distance. And we're going to keep our weight back through the heel of the leg that's on the dome. And if it makes you feel like you're going to fall backwards, then that front leg's just gone a bit too far forwards and you need to just bring it back a little bit. So I love the calf stretch, calf release exercise, obviously. It's in everything. But it's doing more than just releasing your calves. It's also working on the mobility of your ankle and your foot too. So obviously when we have our foot flat on the floor, and our shin is, we're kind of like that, aren't we? We're kind of 90 degrees-ish. So when we're doing the calf stretch and the foot's lifted, it's decreased that angle between the shin and the foot. So it's really helping to mobilise the ankles, because that tends to be the lost range of movement is having that foot closer to the shin. Once you've been in this position a little while and it's started to ease, let's see if we can maybe step that other leg a little bit further forwards. But if it makes you lose your alignment, or you kind of have to do some kind of weird shift of your body, then just step it back. There's no rush to get that foot forwards. It is where it is. A few more breaths here. Check your jaw, check your shoulders, making sure that you aren't gripping and holding. Good. Let's try the other side. Same thing. Top of the foot to the top of the dome or the towel. Heel down and then step into hip distance apart. So if you're using a towel for your calf stretch, obviously the towel's quite squishy and it will kind of flatten down a little bit. So when you're doing your calf stretch, if you're not feeling an awful lot there, maybe you need to get something a little bit firmer, maybe roll your towel up really tightly, and you can like put sellotape around it, you know, to kind of hold its shape a little bit, or get yourself a half dome. These ones I've got are super hard, but you really know that you've got that real good position of that foot and that ankle. If you're not sure where to get half dome and you want one, give me a shout. Okay, how are we doing on this side? Any different? How does it feel? Maybe see if we can step that free leg a little bit further forwards without losing our alignment, maybe. Still keeping our weight back through the heel of the leg that's on the dome. Good. So the calf stretch is one of the exercises that creates the biggest change in your whole body. So tension and tightness in the calf will create tension down the back of the leg, so the back of the hamstring, which will pull your pelvis out of alignment. So any issue really, we always want to start with the feet and the calves. Okay, we're going to come back and do a little bit more with the calf stretch, and we're going to kind of come back to it again at the end, but we're going to do our double calf stretch next. So let's have both feet up on your towel or your dome, top of the foot to the top, heel down, and then we're going to hinge forward. So try and keep both legs straight, stick your bottom out behind you. You can rest your hands on your thighs, that's fine. And really shifting your weight back. Yeah, it's quite tempting to try and shift forward, but we're really backing our weight up. And then holding here. A few breaths. Let's come on up and out of that. We're going to keep that half dome close by. We're going to come back to it in a second, but we're going to go back to that top of the foot stretch again. So standing tall, taking one leg back, tucking those toes under. See how it feels. Maybe it feels a little easier because we've already done it once. And if you're not feeling very much and you feel like it's not that much of a challenge for you, you can take that leg further back. Kind of gives a little bit more load, makes it a little bit more intense. But just finding where it feels right for you. That was too intense, so I'm giving myself cramp. So just finding the right position for you. And then let's switch and do the same on the other side. Good. Couple more breaths here. All right, and then coming out. So we're going to go to our second version of the calf stretch. So this is your soleus stretch. It's another of the calf muscles. It's the one that we don't do as often. So finding your half dome again. Same setup, top of the foot to the top of the dome, heel down. Stepping that other leg to hip distance, so don't bring it too far forwards because we're going to bend the knees now. So I'm bending the knee, and you can feel how that stretch kind of moves down a little bit. So you might feel it more just above your ankle rather than kind of being right up at the top of the calf. It might feel a lot lower. Doesn't matter if it doesn't feel any different, doesn't matter if you can't feel anything at all, but we're just targeting a slightly different muscle than we do when we've got both legs straight. Hold in here, check your jaw, check your shoulders, a little bit of that knee bend. You usually have one calf stretch that you prefer. It will depend on which muscles are tight for you. I really don't like this one, which means this is probably the one I should be doing most often. Let's try the other side. So coming up, exactly the same. We're going to find that calf stretch position first. Step into hip distance and then just bending both knees. Oh, knees a little bend. It doesn't need to be huge. And again, just feeling any different sensations, just tuning in and noticing what your body's feeling. Couple of breaths here. Good. All right, come on up and out of that. So let's just pop the half down just to the side for a moment. We're going to come back to it again. So let's stand with feet hip width apart. Let's have those outside edges of your feet straight. And then back your weight up through your heels so that your toes are free. Just give your toes a little wiggle just to show there's no weight in the front of your foot, so we're not kind of pushing the front of the foot down. And then from here, see if you can tense your thighs, tense your quads, and then relax them. And does that make your kneecaps drop down? Do that again. Can you tense the thighs and then relax them? So we're trying to get the kneecap release. So let's play with that a little bit, tensing and then relaxing. If you can't find it here and there's no movement at all you're going to do is hinge forward. You're going to stick your bottom out, really get your weight back through your heels and try it again there. So sometimes that's a little bit easier to find it. If your kneecaps just aren't moving, feel free to bend forwards. The other thing that you can do is get your bottom against a wall, walk your legs out in front so that you're not having to use the muscles of your legs to hold you up, and then you might find it a little bit easier there. So there's lots of different places that you can find it. And if you can't find it here, just sit down with your legs out in front of you so there's no weight on your thighs at all, and you can try that tense and release. So kneecap release, it's really important that we're able to relax the fronts of the thighs, because one of the quad muscles travels over the knee joint, and if it's tight all of the time and it's pulling that knee cap back into the knee joint the whole time, it's going to create wear on your cartilage. So that's one of the reasons that we really want to try and relax as much as we can. If you found your kneecap release, can you do one at a time? Can you get those kneecaps to dance one at a time? The only time our quads should be tight is when you're walking uphill. The rest of the time, we don't really need the quads. We need the hamstrings and the glutes. Yeah, these are the guys that should be powering us forwards. These guys, not so much, although they do want to do everything and they do try and do a lot of the work. Okay, hopefully you found your kneecap release. Play with it as much as you can, as often as you remember. When you're standing in the queue at Morrison's, practice kneecap release. Nobody will know what you're doing, it's fine. We're going to do some heel raises next. So, feet hip width apart, outside edges of your feet straight, and then just rising up onto the balls of your feet, nice and controlled, and then lowering down. And do that again, nice and slow, rising up onto the balls of your feet, and then lowering down. You can always go near a wall if you need to, if you're a little bit wobbly. Trying to keep those ankles nice and straight, so as you rise up, watch for that ankle trying to roll out. And the other thing to watch for when we're doing the heel raises, the heel raises, they use your calf muscles a lot. Keep going. They use your calf muscles a lot. You can completely bypass using your calf muscles by shifting your hips forwards, because if you shift your hips forwards enough, eventually your heels are going to lift. So see if you can keep yourself super straight as you come up. I mean, you'll travel forward slightly, but watch for that momentum flinging up, yeah? So we don't want any of that. So see if you can shift forwards as little as possible. And then really finding that work in those calf muscles, yeah? Working the calves, so this is really helping to build strength and stamina. Also really good for the strength of our feet as well as our calves, and also really good for our ankles because we're not letting them just collapse and roll out. The ankles are having to work to stay in that straight position. All right, pause in there. Just give your legs a little shake. Maybe just do a little prance, just a little release there. We're going to do a little bit more of that, a little bit more work. So I want you to try this, and if it doesn't work, you're going to just come back down to the floor. If you've got a rolled up towel, grab your rolled up towel. If you don't have a rolled up towel, maybe roll up your mat, just because you do want something with a little bit of squish, ideally, for this one. You could try it on a half dome, but I'm just not sure whether it would be too hard. We're going to have both feet up on your towel, hip width apart. You can go a little bit wider if you need to, but hip width is an ideal position. And we're going to do the heel raises again here. If you feel a little bit unsure, go near a wall. But you're just going to rise up onto the balls of your feet and then lower down, nice and controlled. Yes, it's a little bit more unsteady. A little bit more of a challenge for your balance as well. If you don't like it, just go back to just doing your normal heel raises on the floor. So you can roll your mat up. Sometimes it's hard to get all the way up, you just kind of come halfway up and then it doesn't want to go any further. Here again, it's really working on the mobility of your ankles. Don't come too far forwards. So we're kind of going in the two directions that the ankles move, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that as we do some more of the exercises. But we're increasing the range of movement between the shin and the foot, and then we're decreasing it, aren't we? We're making that angle bigger and then smaller. How are your calves feeling? Mine are burning right now. They kind of feel like they're on fire. Let's do two more, just to really milk it, just to really make sure that we're definitely feeling those calves right now. And then as you lower down this time, give your legs a little shake. Maybe do a little prance there. Calves on fire. I've got a couple more for us to do because, you know, glutton for punishment and all of that. We're going to get rid of your towel now, whatever you're using. We're going to have one foot in front of the other, and we're going to do our little heel raises here. Okay, so again, just nice and slow, coming up and then lowering down. You're not going to come up exactly at the same time. You might find one and then the other, that's fine. What you don't want to do is have those ankles rolling out again, yeah? So still trying to keep the ankles straight as you come up and down. Good. Just do one more like this and then we'll switch the legs. Ooh. And then just switching. So the other leg is forwards this time. And that might really change things. I'm a lot more wobbly now that I've switched this side. Let's just do a couple more. And one more time. Give them a shake. Give them a little prance. Okay, I'm just going to give you one more. You don't have to do this one. Because ideally be near a wall. I'll show it you, and then if you want to, you can play with this kind of in your own time. And it's a single leg heel raise. So you do kind of need to be near something just to give you that little bit of support. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You're just going to lift one foot off the floor and you're just going to rise up onto the ball of one foot and then lower down with control. If you've got something nearby and you want to have a go and try a couple of those now, just try a couple and see how much more work it is on that one leg, and also watch to make sure that you're not shifting your hips forwards to bypass the calf doing the work. If you've done a couple on one side, try it on the other side. And again, just trying that single leg. I mean, you might have amazing balance and you might not need to hold on to something. You can use whatever, chair, wall, door, anything that you've got handy. All right, let's give those legs a little shake out. Oh, and a little rest. We're going to come down onto the floor next, and we're going to come down onto all fours. So, and we want to get as much movement in the foot as we can. So lift your knee, pop your toes down on the floor, and then push your foot back to bring that knee down to the floor, so that you're really getting as much movement in that foot as possible. And then do the same on the other side. So lift the knee and place the toes down, and then push that foot back to really get a good stretch in those toes. Stick your bottom out here, and then taking your bottom back towards your heels, and then come forwards again. So we're just going to rock forwards and backwards here. And you can make this movement as big or as small as you like. If taking your bottom all the way back to your heels is just too much for your feet, then don't go all the way. Just go to where it feels okay. Good. And then as you come forwards this time, we're just going to give our feet a little rest. We're just going to let the feet relax and let the tops of the feet come down, and take your bottom back towards your heels, finding that child's pose and just reaching your arms forwards. Let's just hold here for a few breaths. And then we're going to find that same position again. So when you're ready, come back up. Again, we want to tuck the toes and really push into those feet to get as much stretch through your foot as you can. Sticking your bottom out again, and we're going to again rock forwards and backwards. What I want you to be aware of this time is, are your feet straight? And again, you can't really see them. Are your feet straight, or are they rolling out to the side? Are your heels trying to roll out to the side? You try and keep those feet straight. And if you've got no idea, don't worry about it. This time, taking it back as far as feels okay, and we're going to stay here. So we're loading the feet now, making them carry a little bit of weight. And if it feels okay for you, walking your hands in so that you're adding more weight onto those feet. If you can come all the way up to kneeling and it's okay, then do. If you need to stay with your hands down on the floor to take a bit of load off, that's fine too. I'm going to adjust my camera in a second. So just allowing your feet to take that weight, take that load. And then we're going to see if we can come up onto our feet from here. So bring your hands down to the floor. You can use your hands. Can you lift your knees and kind of find that little squat position? And then can you bring the knees back down? We're just going to play that a few times. So just lifting your knees to find that squat position, and then coming back down. Again, really good for your feet, for your ankles, really good for your hips and knees too. Good, okay. If you get cramped, that's very normal, don't worry too much. Okay, we're going to go all the way forwards, and we're going to release the feet. Flat feet down, bottom back towards your heels, and again, finding that child's pose, and just rest here. Maybe it feels nice to just kind of gently rock side to side in that child's pose. That feels good to you, then do that, that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to come up. So we're going to stay in this kneeling position, but we're going to bring one leg out, so we're in like a single leg kneeling position. And we want to have this foot as close in towards us as we can. So see where it feels okay for you. And if it needs to be quite far forward, that's fine. If you can bring it in, that's great. If being in this position is too much, you've got a few options for bolstering. I'm going to leave you there because that's a really good position to work on mobility. If you're struggling though, feel free to grab a towel, you can pop it behind your knee, you can grab something, pop it behind your ankle to sit on a little bit just to keep this other leg happy if you need it. But we're here. And we've got this leg as close to us as we can. Even this is a great movement, but we're going to see if we can just gently bring our weight forward, keeping this heel down, and then rock it back. So again, we're thinking about the movement of the ankle, bringing the shin and the foot closer together and then further apart. Try and keep the heel down because the heel will probably want to lift as you lean forwards. And it's a very kind of gentle movement to work on this mobility of your ankle. If you need to come out of it, obviously do. Always listen to your body. Your body knows what it needs. Alright, let's try the other side. So releasing that leg. Bringing the other one in. And again, if you need to bolster yourself, then do. Bringing this leg as close in as you can. And even just being here is really helping to work on your mobility of your hip, your knee, your ankle, your foot. And then again, maybe rocking forwards and backwards. It is quite intense, as in being in this kind of real closed up, curled up position. So that's why I say if you need to grab a towel just to give you a bit more space, then do. Try and keep that heel down, noticing if it's different one side to the other. You often have one side where your mobility is much better. I definitely do. This is definitely my side that's much more difficult to move. It's quite stiff, this ankle for me. Okay. Oof. Let it go. But let's just bring the legs out in front for a minute. Let's just kind of give them a little wriggle around. Let's just roll them in and out. Just give them a little release. Let's bring the soles of the feet together, find that little cobbler. And let's just hold it there for a minute. You can kind of bounce your legs, move your legs. Just do whatever your body's like. Just wants a bit of movement there. Just a little bit of opening. Okay, so this might be where you want a little bit more of that bolstering. We're going to do the sit and shift next, which is this. We're in this really low kneeling position and we're going to slide from one hip over to the other. So if being in this position is too much, you're going to use your towel or your cushion or your block or whatever you have got. And again, you can have something behind your ankles to give you a bit of space. You can have something behind your knees to give you a little bit of space. You can sit on something, so prop something between your legs so that you're not coming all the way down to the floor. Okay, so find where your body is happy. So if you can find that low kneeling position, great. If you've had to bolster yourself, you might not be able to get one hip to come down to the floor. Try it and see. Use your hands, but shift to one side so that you're now sitting on one hip. And then we're just going to go over to the other side. So if you need to kind of come up and use your hands and shift to the other side, then do. But see if you can stay low. Can you kind of slide your bottom across your heels to go from one side to the other? And we're trying to make it as gentle and as flowing and as smooth as possible. So if you kind of have to come across and doof down, and then you're lifting and it's like, see if you can slow it down, see if you can guide yourself down to make it more controlled. And if you don't need your hands, try it without your hands. Feet, ankles, knees, hips. Abdominals as well, because as we lift our weight and we shift from one side to the other, the abdominals are supporting us. Okay. Whew. Okay, we're going to come out of this. Grab your towel or your half dome or roll your mat up again. And we're going to go back to that all fours position, but we're going to have our knees resting on something now. So we're just changing the angle slightly. So we're on our hands and knees, and then have your knees up on something. So if you're on your half dome, don't have it directly on your kneecap, have it like just below your knees, because the half domes are a little bit hard. If you're on a towel, you're fine wherever feels okay. And we're going to tuck the toes again. So remember how we had the toe and we were pushing the leg back to get as much movement in the foot as we can. And then we're going to just do the same thing, sticking your bottom out, taking your bottom back towards your heels and rocking forwards and backwards here. You're in control, you can make the movement as big or as small as you like. Good. And just lifting those knees up, it's just changed the angle. So we've not changed the movement, we've not changed the exercise, but we're just in a slightly different position. It might feel completely different. Might be easier. Alright. And then as you come forwards this time, take your knees off whatever you were kneeling on. Tops of the feet flat down. Let's find that child's pose again, just to relax your feet the other way. You can get rid of your towel or whatever you were using there. And just hold here for a few breaths. Okay. So we're going to go back to this kneeling down position. And again, you might want to bolster yourself here. So if being down in this position is just not the happiest place, get a cushion under your bottom, a block, half dome, anything, and you're just going to pop it between your feet and like under your bottom, just so that it's maybe a little bit more comfortable for you. So feel free to grab whatever you need. And then we're going to think about our feet. Now, when you sit in this kneeling position, quite often your toes will be close and your heels will kind of roll out to the side. So, can you see if you can get your foot straight so that your foot is in line with your lower leg? Can you do both sides? You might not be able to. Try it. Can you find it? Ooh, and that might create some cramps, so if you need to come forwards to get your hands down to take a little bit of the weight off, then do, that's fine. I'm just going to hold here for a few breaths. If you're happy and you can sit tall, then that's more weight, more load for the feet, but do what feels okay for you right now. Couple of breaths here. Alright, and then we're going to come forwards and we're going to come off our feet, so bring your feet around. Okay, grab your strap. We're going to do our strap stretch next. So lie yourself down onto your back. And we're going to place the strap around one foot at the base of your toes. And then your other leg is going to be out long on the floor. So the leg that's in the strap, we want to have that leg as straight as possible. So if you've got a little bend in that leg, push out through your heel to really straighten that leg. And if you need to lower it down, that's fine. We're pulling the front of the foot towards us, pressing the heel away. Again, trying to decrease that angle between your shin and your foot. So pulling the foot. And we're going to hold here for a few breaths. So we're using this for our ankle mobility. As always in the strap stretch, it is releasing tension all the way down the back of the leg. Everything is connected, nothing kind of exists in isolation, but right now we're just working on our ankle. And then we're going to move our foot around a little bit. We're going to do that eversion and inversion. So have a look at your foot, and then I want you to imagine that you've got a plate balanced on your foot, and I want you to push the big toe side of your foot up towards the sky and try and drop the little toe side of your foot down so that your plate's going to fall off to the outside of you. And if your foot doesn't want to go that way, use your strap to kind of pull the little toe side of the foot down and let the big toe side of the foot go up. And then let's go the other way. So we're going to now tilt the foot the other way. So the little toe side of the foot's going to go up towards the sky. Big toe side of the foot's going to drop this way. So your plate's going to crash down and land on your other leg. Let's do that again. We're going to tilt the foot one way and then the other way. Can you play with that? And use your strap to guide the foot, because the foot might not want to do it on its own. You might have to move it in position with the strap. Good. That's a strange little movement, isn't it? Let's do the other side. So switching legs. Just finding your strap stretch position again. So strap is at the base of your toes. Pushing your heel away, pulling the front of the foot towards you. And again, we want that leg straight. How's that ankle feel there? So again, noticing where there is more movement on this side maybe than the other side. Taking some deep breaths. And then we're going to play again with that funny little eversion, inversion. So think about that plate balanced on your foot again, and you're going to tilt your foot to drop the plate to the outside. So can you kind of think about pressing your big toe side of your foot up towards the sky, dropping your little toe side down, and then go the other way. Using your strap to guide that foot. And if you're not really sure, don't worry about it. It's just all about mobilizing your foot, mobilizing your ankle. So sometimes it doesn't want to go on its own. So that's why we've got the strap there to do that for us. Good job. All right, and then just bending that leg back in. Lengthen your legs out long. Let's just take a little stretch here. Reach your arms overhead. Circle your arms out to the side. So just bending those knees in. Bring your knees into your chest. Let's just gently rock side to side here. We're going to keep hold of one leg and let your other foot come down onto the floor. And the leg that we're holding onto, we're going to bring that knee as close in towards your chest as you can. Again, we're in that real deep knee bend, so great for mobility of your knee here. And then we're going to straighten this leg up towards the sky, keep hold of it, and let's point and flex our foot here. Again, think about movement from your ankle, not just your toes. So how about we do some ankle circles now? Can you circle all the way around? And can you reverse that and go the other way? And then bend that knee back into your chest, pull it deep in towards you. And then we're going to switch sides, bring the other knee in. Again, pulling it deep into your chest. Holding there. And then straightening that leg, keep hold of it, and again, let's point and flex our foot here. And little circles. And go the other way. Good, and then again, pull that knee deep into your chest again here. And then releasing that leg. Okay, we're going to come on up. And we're going to come on up and find our lunge here. So again, we're thinking about movement of the ankle. So find your lunge position, stepping one leg forwards. Now normally normally we try and keep in a real neutral lunge, don't we? But we're going to go a little bit further forwards this time. So I want you to bring that leg a little bit closer than it perhaps would normally be. And keeping your heel down on the floor, we're going to shift forward. So your knee is going to go forwards, that's okay. Because we're thinking about, again, decreasing this angle here. So go gentle. And that back leg, you can have your toes tucked or the top of the foot down, whichever feels good to you. But we're just, again, keeping the heel down and working on the mobility of that ankle here. If it really bothers your knee and it's pulling on your knee, then just keep in that neutral lunge and just work on your hip instead. But if it feels okay, and we're going slow and controlled, we're absolutely fine here. Heel needs to stay down. And then come forwards and hold. If you can get your hands down, you can bring your hands down. Maybe you want to shift that other knee, that back knee back a little bit so that you can kind of come down and hold here. How much does that heel want to lift? My heel, this is my tight side, and that heel really does not want to stay down. Couple of breaths here. And then we're just going to do the same on the other side. So when you're ready, coming up and just switch your legs. So again, that leg's a little bit closer perhaps than it would normally be. And we're just going to shift forwards and backwards. Different one side to the other, maybe. And then again, we're going to shift it forwards and hold it forwards. Bring your hands down if you want to, maybe walking that back knee back a little bit so that you can kind of hold. Keeping that heel down again. Ooh. Good job. Alright, and then we're going to come out of that. And we're going to find a seated position. So, seated with your legs out long in front. And as always, you can sit on something if you need to. Have your hands down on the floor though to give you a little bit of support. And then let's have our feet about hip width apart. Can you push out through your heels and really pull the front of the foot towards you so you're in that real flexed position. So this is called dorsiflexion, where we're pulling the front of the foot closer to the shin and we're trying to make that angle smaller. And then we're going to point our toes and stretch them out the other way. So this is plantar flexion. Those are just the two kind of technical terms. Pointed, flexed, dorsiflexion, pointed, plantar flexion. I tried to put this in my phone when I was like making notes of the class today, and it kept calling it Doris flexion. It just kept changing it to Doris. Pointing and flexing there. So again, we're just working the ankles, trying to take them through their full range of movement, yeah? And the movement of our ankles and our feet is so interconnected with the shoes that we wear and how much we walk. So any movement that we can do here is so much better. So good for us. Okay, so let's bring our feet together. And can you get your inside of your ankle bones to touch, maybe? It depends on the shape of your feet. So if they don't quite meet, don't worry about it. So can you have your big toe knuckles and your ankle bones touching? And then can you point and flex them here? And as you point your feet away from you, do your ankle bones roll apart? Try and keep them together if you can. And so if they don't touch anyway, just keep them kind of in the same position. And that's holding our ankles in that real nice stable position. So when we do our heel raises and the ankles want to roll out, it's the same thing here. Yeah, as we rise up, the ankles want to roll it out. Okay, pausing there. We're going to have one leg out long and then bring one leg in towards you. I'm going to change my position. So one leg out long, one leg in towards you. And then have a look at that foot. So as you've brought this leg in towards you, has your foot kind of rolled so that the top of your foot is down on the floor and the sole of your foot's kind of pointing up towards the sky? Can you try and be on the side of your foot so that it's flat, so that you would be able to stand on that foot? So again, we're in that dorsiflexion position. We've got that nice stable ankle position, and we've not just let that foot and that ankle sickle out and collapse, yeah? So find that nice strong position there, and then sit tall. Keep that foot and ankle like it is. Can you lean slightly forwards? Maybe. And then come back. Has that foot stayed where it is, or has your ankle collapsed? Do it again. Can you keep that foot where it is and lean slightly forwards? I'm checking. This is my one that doesn't want to do it. Let's do the same on the other side. So just switching sides, one leg in, one leg out. And then again, watch for that tendency for that ankle and that foot to collapse and the sole of the foot to point up. So we want the sole of the foot pointing at the other leg. Foot flat. And if you need to lift your knee to get there, that's fine. Can you keep that as it is and lean forwards? Just a couple of times. Again, leaning forwards. Okay, let's find our soles of the feet together in that little cobbler stretch. Yeah. And then same thing, sit tall. And then can you lean forwards here? Good. Taking it into more of a long frog position. So instead of having the feet quite close to you, slide them a little bit further away. And leaning in forwards and coming back. Maybe just rocking gently here. Only going as far as feels okay for you. Alright, we're going to finish off with a calf stretch. So come back up to standing and grab your towel or your half down. Just do normal calf stretch. Heel down, front of the foot, top of your dome, and then step into hip width apart. Worked super hard tonight. Little movements, but make a big difference. Maybe see if you can step that free leg a little bit further forwards. Remember, if it makes you lose your alignment, then step it back. There's no rush. Good. Let's do the same on the other side to finish us off. Not literally, I hope, but you know, find your calf stretch position again. Weight back through your heel of the leg on the dome. Maybe do your little scan through your body and just check whether anywhere is gripping and tight. Hopefully not. Can you relax it a little bit if it is? Maybe it feels okay and you want to take that free leg a little bit further forwards. Couple more breaths. Really nice. Okay, stepping off your dome, little prance. Just lifting one heel at a time, just freeing off. Hopefully your feet and your ankles actually feel quite nice, like they've had a good stretch, they've had a good bit of strengthening, maybe they feel a little bit loose, a little bit freer. And that is you guys, all done.